Hello everybody. In this video we are gonna go live with our Node final project. So there's a few things we have to do in cPanel to set things up. There's actually quite a few steps here. So the first thing that we need to do is you need to log into your cPanel, and I warned you guys about this, so hopefully you have your login information. cPanel is, here's what it looks like. Now you can do a ton of stuff with this. For example, one thing is you can set up email accounts for your domain. So if your domain is like example.com, you could create, I think it's up to 10 email accounts with that domain name. So that's kind of cool. And actually we'll be using this to receive the contact page submit. So we'll be fiddling around in here at some point, maybe not in this video though. Okay, we're going to install our Node application as a subdomain. Hopefully we've talked a little bit about subdomains in the class here, but if you scroll down here to the domain section and click on domains, here's where you can create a subdomain. Okay, so my website, my main domain is webcoder.club. But you can see I have a few different subdomains here, like node.webcoder.club. I was testing around here, test.webcoder.club. So we're going to create a subdomain for this project. You can click right here, create a new domain. And what we're going to do is we're going to just call it Int Web Dev. So create Web Dev. Okay, now, so everybody should type in Int Web Dev just like I did here. And then you want to put a dot and then your main domain. So my domain is webcoder.club. You type in your domain. Okay, don't use my domain, use your domain after int web dev. Okay. And then we can hit submit. But before I do, I just want you to note that this is going to actually create this folder inside your public HTML folder. Now we'll be playing with this folder in a later step here. So, but you can just go ahead and submit. Okay, so it looks like I've successfully set up my int web dev subdomain for my domain. The next thing that we need to do is we need to create a Node application. So if I go back over to the home page, you can click on this tools link to take you back to the home page, the cPanel home page. It'll take you back to this page. And then what we want to do is scroll down to, where is it? It's in the applications or software section. Here is where you can set up a Node.js application. So I'm going to click on that. Now I've got a couple that I've already created. You probably don't have any at this point, but you can go ahead and just click create application over here. And then we need to figure out where we're going to put this. Okay. Actually, what we should do before that is we want to set these two drop downs here. So you can choose to have your application run on different versions of Node. We're going to use 20.10.0. That's the latest one available at this time. And then we should we want to set this to the application mode to production. This is our live website. So that's not a big deal, but if this is our live website, we should set the application mode to production. We don't really mess around with this, but some projects, that setting would make a difference here. Okay, and now we have to designate a folder where we're going to upload our code files to, and I want you to enter this. We're going to call it int web dev final. I got to spell it right. Final project. Okay, so it's going to create a folder with that name, and that's where we're going to upload all of our code to. Okay, and now for the application URL, you should be able to click on that and see the subdomain that you just created. So click on your int web dev subdomain. Okay, and then the application startup file for us is app.js. That's the file that we run to start our server. So we want to type in app.js right there. And then finally, I think that's it for now. We'll come back here in a minute, and we'll come back to the screen in just a minute here, but we can go ahead and click the create button. So hopefully it will create the application for you. Let's see, am I getting any confirmation? Well, it looks like everything worked so far. So now what we have to do is register an application. So a lot of steps here. I'm going to go back to the cPanel homepage. I'll click on Tools. And now I want to scroll back down to the Software section, the same section where we set up the Node application. And right here above the Setup Node app is this Application Manager link. Okay, click on that. And now we have to register an application. So what you'll do here is click the Register Application button. You can see I've got a couple already that I registered. And now we're going to give it a name. Now, it doesn't really matter what we name it here, but just for clarity so that we're all on the same page, I think I'm just going to call it Node for Int Web Dev, or Node app for Int Web. Now, this name doesn't really matter. You could call it whatever you want, but just so that we're all on the same page, I'm just going to call it Node app for Int Web. And then let's see here. Now we have to set the deployment domain, and here again is where you want to choose the subdomain that you created in an earlier step. So I'm going to click that one, the Int Web Dev. You can leave the base application URL as is. It should just be a / like this. And then for the application path here, you want to set it to the folder that we created earlier, which is int web dev final project, like that. And then I think that's it. And we can go ahead and hit deploy. Okay, and here it is. Here's the application that we just registered with the application manager. And now we have to do something that's a little bit strange to get this to work, but when the step that we just did here by registering this application, it's going to require us to go into a configuration file and comment out some lines. I'm not exactly sure why we have to do this, but we have to do it. We learned. So what we can do here is go back to the cPanel homepage by clicking on Tools here. And then we want to go to the file manager. Now this is a way for us to manage the files on our server. We usually use FileZilla, but this works too. It's just real clunky. But for this application, it'll work just fine. Okay, so what you need to do is go into your public HTML folder. Now I have to actually click on this little icon 2 times to go into the public HTML folder. I can't, if I click on where it says public HTML, it's going to think I'm trying to rename that folder. So what I have to do is double click on the little icon next to it. Okay, and now here you should find a folder for the domain, the subdomain that we created right here, intwebdev.webcoder.club. That's my, there it is. You should find a folder in there that starts with intwebdev. Whatever your domain is. So I'm going to open that up. Now this file here, .htaccess, got created when we registered the application in the last step. What we need to do is edit this just a little bit. So if I click on this one, I should be able to edit it by clicking the edit button here. And I'll just go ahead and click edit here again. Okay, so this brings up a little web interface where we can edit this. Now, all the lines that start with hashtags are comments. So what we need to do is comment out all the lines that start with passenger. So I'm not exactly sure why we have to do this, but I'm just going to put a hashtag in front of every line that starts with passenger. Okay, and that's it. So after you comment out all those lines that start with passenger, you can click Save Changes here. And now finally we're ready to upload our files that have all our code in it. So for that, the easiest thing is to use FileZilla. So here I've got FileZilla open, and I need to find the Int Web Dev final project folder here. So now it's kind of interesting. This is actually a sibling of the public HTML folder, but this is the folder that we set up that's going to have all of our files in it. So if I double click on that right here, now when we created our Node application, it put these files in here. So you can see that it put like a temporary app.js file in here. We're going to wipe that out and replace it with our own. And look at that, it put a public folder there too. You guys know what that's usually used for. It's for the static files. So anyways, you will see some files that are in that folder that we didn't create ourselves. So then what I need to do is on the left-hand side here, go find where my files are for my project. So here it is. These are all the files. These file names should look familiar to you. We've got our blog folder, modules, our node modules folder, and so on and so forth. Okay, now we don't need to upload all of these. The only ones that we need to upload are app.js. I'm control clicking here as I click these. We're going to need our modules. That's got our custom modules in it. We don't need the node modules folder, and I'll explain why in a second, so you don't have to select that. We'll need our public folder. That's got our static files in it. We need the views folder because that's got the templates that our app uses. And then the only other thing that we need is we need to make sure that we include the package.json folder. What else am I missing here? Oh, there's a couple more here. I just needed to scroll up. We do need the blog folder as well because that includes all of the markdown files, and I think that's everything right here. Okay, so what I can do once I select all those with control click, I'm going to go ahead and upload them. Okay, it's asking me if I want to overwrite the files that are already there. I'm just going to check that box so I don't have to see this pop-up window again and click OK. Looks like it copied everything up. Now remember, I don't see the node modules folder over here, but I want to show you there's a way to install those through cPanel. So I'm going to go back over to cPanel here. And I'm going to go. Here's the main page for cPanel, and I'm going to go find that setup node app so I can see all my node applications. Click on that. Here are all my node applications, and I want to go in and just edit this real quick here. And it's got this button here to run npm install. So what that's going to do is run npm install on the server, and it's going to look in the package.json file and install all the modules that are listed as the dependencies in there. So go ahead and click that button, and that's just so that you don't have to copy all those files up to your server. That's a lot longer than just doing this here. So that's going to take a minute or two. Okay, that took a while, but I don't know if you just saw there, I got a notification up here, a green one that said that everything got installed properly. And now I think that should have restarted the app, but if you ever need to stop and start the app, you can come in here and press the restart button. I'll show you that in a second here too. But now, hopefully, if I go to my subdomain here, I should see my app. So let's see if that works. So it should be int web dev .webcoder.club. You have a different domain name than I do, so yours is going to look a little bit different than mine. And let's see. So here we go. Here's what I got. And now I didn't bootstrap this, so it doesn't look that good yet, but it's up and running and working on the live server. One last thing I want to show you is that you may make changes to the code, and then you'll have to redeploy. The files that you change are going to have to get uploaded. So, for example, if I made a change to app.js, I would want to copy the new version over to this folder right here. And then the change won't take effect unless you restart the server. So what I would have to do after you copy the files up, you would have to go into cPanel, and here I'll just start over again here. So you'd come into cPanel here, and then you'd have to restart the app in cPanel. So to do that, I can come down to this section, the software section, and click on that Setup Node app link. And then right here, you can restart the app like this. So, and now if you had to install a new module or something, you would also have to run the npm install. You'd have to upload the new package.json file, and then you'd have to rerun the npm install, and I think that would automatically restart the app. But I just wanted to point that out because a lot of times, you might add a bunch of MD files, markdown files to your blog folder. So you would have to upload those. I'm not sure if that would require you to restart the server or not. So depending on the changes that you're making, you may not have to restart the server, but in case you need to, that's how you can do it here. Okay, that's going to do it.